Well, good morning to you guys. It's been a while since I hopped on YouTube, but we do have some changing weather, so I wanted to let you know. Of course, happy last day of April. We're about to move into the month of May. So the year is what, the third over now? As we take a look at your future temperatures, again, we're in the 60s and even upper 50s this morning, but we are going to start to climb out into the 70s. Yesterday, the forecast high was 82. I think we only hit 76, but the clouds were to blame. So a little bit tricky again today with the cloud cover. If we get more sunshine this afternoon, we'll likely be in the mid 80s, but I'm thinking the clouds are going to keep us in the lower 80s today. And then as we get into the late evening, we'll slowly fall back into the 70s. So nonetheless, it's going to be warm, it's going to be humid. And again, the difference between 78, 79, and 83, it's hard to really be able to tell a difference like that. But just know it's going to be warm and humid and muggy. So take a look at your satellite radar. High pressure off the Atlantic coast. And this is what's kind of causing some complications in our weather, because originally it looked like Saturday was going to be dry. Now it looks like that's kind of going to put on brakes to this approaching system, which means we could have showers lingering into Saturday. And I'll talk more about that in a second. But this morning, severe weather already ongoing across parts of Texas. Going to be a pretty decent threat just off to our west. So we're not looking at any severe potential today. In fact, I doubt we even have any rain. Only a slim chance of a few spotty showers. But places off into parts of Texas, Oklahoma, Dallas Metro, going to have the potential for severe weather all the way as far east as about Memphis. So again, nothing we have to be concerned with, and we've been very fortunate to close out of April on a fairly quiet note, and hopefully it stays that way as we move into May. So let's take a look at your futurecast over the next 48 hours. Again, a few spotty showers this afternoon. Really don't anticipate that being much of a big deal, but don't be completely caught off guard if you run into a few downpours here and there this evening. Thursday morning, maybe a few showers. I think we're actually going to trend pretty dry tomorrow morning, but there could be some damp roads. Throughout much of the day on Thursday, we're going to be dry. And then at some point in the evening, likely after about 5 or 6, there's going to be a decent little line of storms moving through. It's probably going to be closer to the sun going down. And along this line, we could have some gusty winds, maybe even a few severe storms with gusty winds up to 50 to 60 miles per hour kind of being the main threat. And then things fade away, and by Friday morning, we should be dry again before more storms flare up late Friday into Saturday. So there is a severe risk on Thursday. Level 2 out of 5 risk for places like Pikeville, Monteagle, Dayton, up through Middle Tennessee, North Alabama. Rest of the area, Chattanooga, Dalton, Calhoun, Blue Ridge, L.J. Murphy, Athens, Cleveland, Polk County, all under the level 1 out of 5 risk. This is for severe potential. Of course, the highest risk is going to be just off to our north and west, pretty broad area. But with that line coming through, there is the potential for damaging wind gusts. Pretty low end threat, but it is a possibility. And any tornado threat is going to be well to our west, across Middle Tennessee. And even then, it's a low end threat, only about a 2% chance within a 25-mile radius for places like Memphis, Nashville, up through Kentucky and southern Indiana. So no tornado risk tomorrow. Any storms that develop could be severe, though, with damaging wind gusts, and really don't think we're going to have any hail either. But we'll keep a close eye on that as we get into late Thursday. Now, what happens after that? It gets a little murky. So as we get into your Friday, we're going to have more showers throughout the day, especially during the afternoon. Now, this model I'm showing you is the American. So notice just some light rain. Again, the resolution not great in these global models, but it gives us an idea of where the rain may be. And I misspoke. This is actually the European. Notice by 10:30 on Saturday, it's still showing rain. In fact, the European is showing rain for much of the day on Saturday. And again, this resolution isn't great, but it has it moving out by Sunday morning, which I think is probably a little extreme. But nonetheless, it is a possibility that we have rain for much of the day on Saturday. However, the GFS or American model has a much more progressive solution. Still got the rain late Friday into Saturday, but look at this. By about 8, 9 o'clock, rain's done. Moving off to the east. So, American model, more progressive, less rain on Saturday. The European and even the Canadian model, slower, which would give us more rain throughout the day on Saturday. And typically, when we get into this range, again, Saturday's only a couple days away, you would like a better consensus. We don't have that yet. So I would plan for some rain at least for the first half of Saturday. I think things will probably taper off by the afternoon, but we'll see how things trend over the next couple of days. So continue to check back, because I know originally we were thinking, all right, Saturday is going to be nice. It's going to be dry all day. That may not be the case. Again, weather changes. Sometimes these systems come in slower, faster. We have these upper level features like high pressure that can slow down cold fronts from progressing too far to the east, and that's maybe what we're going to be seeing as we move it to the end of the week. But our next cold front at some point comes through Friday into Saturday, likely passes through Saturday morning. Not looking at much of a severe threat with this next system, but there could be, again, a few strong storms here or there. Still uncertainty with the timing, so we'll continue to keep an eye on things. But over the next couple of days, we are going to have a lot of storm fuel. So again, tomorrow, any storm that develops could be severe, maybe Friday as well. But notice by Saturday, we start to cut off some of that storm fuel. So each day, again, potential for something to become severe through about Saturday morning. But low in threat, nothing widespread, which is certainly good news. Rainfall over the next 5 days, it will be variable. Of course, some of you will pick up more than an inch, but on average, I think around an inch is a pretty good bet for most of our coverage area. Of course, with any thunderstorms that develop, rainfall amounts are highly variable from neighborhood to neighborhood. So, John down the road may get 2 inches over the next couple of days, while Susie 5 miles south or even 5 miles north could pick up more than that or less than that. So that's kind of what we're looking at, but I think baseline average over the next couple of days going to be right around an inch of rainfall. So that's kind of what we're looking ahead moving forward. And then just briefly looking at the precipitation trend, this is from the Climate Prediction Center. Pretty good chance of drier than normal conditions over the next 6 to 10 days. So after the rain moves out, whatever time it decides to move out on Saturday, we're going to dry out. Next week, we're not looking at too much in the way of rain chances, especially early in the week. Looks like a lot of the stormy potential is going to be further west, and that's kind of been the story over the last couple of weeks. A lot of the active weather and severe potential heavy rain has been located across the central plains and parts of the Midwest. So it looks like we're going to have decent high pressure and ridging, which will limit our storm potential going into May. So, by the end of May, our severe weather season, our spring severe weather season really starts to taper off, and it transitions out into the high plains while we just get those general, pop-up storms during the summer, which usually runs from June until we get back into our severe weather season, back into the cooler months of fall when things start to transition again. So here's a look at your next 7 days. Scattered storm chances tomorrow, some of which could be severe. More rain, I would say, becoming widespread late Friday into the first part of Saturday. And then after that, look at that, cool temperatures. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, we're going to have highs in the 70s, which this time of the year is below average. And overnight lows could even dip into the 40s by Sunday night, maybe even Monday night as well. So it's going to get a little bit cooler, and then we'll have some nice weather as we open out the first couple days of May. So if you have any questions about the forecast, reach out, but that's the latest update and what you can expect. Hope you guys have a great day.